Can you guys see when the recording starts, Kat?
Let me see.
It says it is.
Yeah, there's a recording symbol on the screen. There's a little red box in the top left.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Guys. We'll give this a view because it fills up pretty quick usually.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys, any of you want to raise a hand? Did any of you receive the text to remind you about this today? I wanted to make sure they went through properly. Yes, you got it? Okay, good. Thanks, Michelle. Hey, Kim, how's it going? Good to see you.
Hello. And you too. Hi, everybody.
Hello, hello.
We're just giving it a couple minutes here and then I'll start the whole shebang. I wasn't sure if this might have a little bit of a less attendance this week because not everyone is interested in family nutrition, but we'll see. See. I see a couple new names here.
We're almost at 1,000 group members.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah.
On Facebook, you mean?
Yep.
Do any of you guys interact with the Facebook group?
Some do.
I read.
Did you say you read?
Yeah, I read. I don't do much. I don't ever respond to anything on social media, but I read to stay
Okay.
informed.
Keep
But I don't interact.
We can get this going, I guess, and as people join, they join. I guess this might be a little bit less attended than typically because the topic might not be as relevant to everyone. But I wanted to cover it because of new things coming up at Raw Gen. So for anyone new here, I'm Lisa. I'm a nutritionist at Raw Generation. Over there in the hat is Katarina, my assistant. You're muted, Kat. You can be unmuted.
Sorry. We have some office stuff going on here. So hello.
This is your first time. I usually ask you all, or I usually want to stay muted until later on when we ask questions and stuff, just because the outside noise sometimes impedes people being able to hear me. But feel free to, anytime you want to ask a question as I'm talking, just raise a hand and I will stop and answer your question. Otherwise, I kind of pause to give space for questions all along the way. So good to see so many of you. I recognize some names. Oh, hi, Karen. I was reading with you last week. How are you? Nice to see you face to face. I love when I see people that I've written emails to pop into these things. So very, very cool.
And I will be putting like suggestions we have in the sidebar. So books we mention, if any, or products or whatnot, will always be in the sidebar in the chat.
Right. She's great about anything I talk about. Links, she pops them in there in the comments, and you guys can just copy and paste whatever you want to do as we're going through. So family nutrition, feeding your family healthy, feeding yourself healthy, and how to do it. And it kind of, as you guys know that have been here, if you haven't been here before, the questions, I save the majority of the time for questions. Hold on one second. Oh my gosh, I must be like a magnet for being teased today. I say the majority of the time for these calls for questions because I feel like what happens is one person opens the floodgate, asks a question, and then a whole storm of questions end up happening. And it's great because we all learn from each other, and it can be questions about anything nutrition related. It does not have to be about Raw Generation products specifically, though it certainly could be if you have questions about how to use certain of our products. But lots of times people just come with general food, nutrition, diet, lifestyle kind of questions, and anything's free game. So that being said, what makes a balanced meal? So there has been so much controversy about this, especially in recent years, because the protein craze is live and well. So people are insistent upon having protein at every meal, thinking it's necessary, cutting their carbs, not having a lot of carbs in their meals, or cutting them out altogether, thinking that's the answer to life's problems. we have really lost sight of the fact that we need all macronutrients to be balanced. And we don't necessarily need them all in every meal to be balanced. However, we can just need them over the course of a day or even a week. It is entirely healthy and not dangerous to just have fruit for a day or two. If you just need to cleanse your body and just need a break, and then to go right back into having everything else that you normally eat a couple days later. That's actually beneficial to you, not unbeneficial to you. But in the confines of saying a balanced meal, I'm going to take that to a different spot and let's call it a balanced day of eating, because I think that's more important than a particular balanced meal. I do not prescribe or even recommend counting your calories, counting your protein grams, counting your sugar grams. I see pretty much very little validity to it for multiple reasons. From a weight loss standpoint, for the average person that has weight gain problems to begin with, has a trouble losing weight to begin with, especially, not to single out, but women in their mid 40s to their mid 50s, nothing typical is probably going to work for you or has worked for you. And that's a lot of our customers. But even people that are not in that age range, and men also, it's so commonly misunderstood how to properly eat and the foods that are biologically correct for us to eat as humans. And even in the dietetics world, even as if you were to go to a typical dietitian, say in a hospital, or a regular clinical nutritionist, it would be very different than what I'm going to tell you today. So if you don't know, I'm a holistic nutritionist. I've been one for over 20 years. I had a private practice for all my life prior to working here a few years ago. And actually the founders of this company were my clients, and they started this company after I taught them about juicing and healthy eating. So it's pretty cool, the connection that I have to our generation, which is why I believe what our company does, they basically do what I teach people to do. And I've been doing that for all these years. So if you just came, I saw people just joined just now. We're talking about balanced meals, but rather in this case, a balanced day. So a balanced day of eating and what that would look like. Now, this is good for weight loss. It's just good for healthy eating, for immunity, for energy. The same kind of protocol basically works in all these instances. Obviously, there's sometimes little tweaks you're going to make if you are, say, menopausal, if you're postpartum, if you have, autoimmune disorders, if you have different problems, conditions. There's things you will do to change, tweak and change these suggestions, but the basis of it is the same. For humans in general, this is how we're designed to eat, to have good digestion, to have high immunity, to have high energy, and to be well balanced with our nutritional elements. So I always recommend starting your day light. That's why it's called breakfast, breaking the fast of the night. You're not supposed to start your day with a huge meal. So, that whole concept of having breakfast be the biggest meal of the day is actually completely counterintuitive to how our bodies are designed to function optimally. So if you have a breakfast of bacon and eggs and maybe some whole wheat toast and butter or some fruit and yogurt, all these things together in an attempt to have a balanced meal, you are causing yourself so much digestive distress. So that meal is going to take, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 6 hours probably to fully break down, digest in your body. So you're going to feel tired after. Your energy is probably not going to hit for a couple hours later till it finally starts to break down. And you're setting yourself up to be bloated the entire day if you have bloating problems and if that's one of the issues that you deal with. Reason being is because not everyone, but this is general, most people cannot tolerate mixing fruit and fat together and feeling well. So that's one of the first things I teach everybody for weight loss. And I teach it to people that have digestive problems, IBS, have low energy, have autoimmune. This is a chronic thing that people misunderstand that really helps when you learn. If you are mixing fruits with fats, or sugar with fat, so a granola bar, dried fruit and nut mix, apple and peanut butter, banana and peanut butter in a smoothie. Lots of things that are typically considered healthy are not really the best plan for weight loss or for feeling well. So what I recommend doing for breakfast is, if you're a Raw Generation customer and you love our juices are a perfect way to break the fast of the day, to start with 1 or 2 of our juices. If you're not doing juices, you can just do fresh fruits in abundance. And I'm not talking like an orange or an apple. I'm talking 3 or 4 or 5 pieces of fruit in a nice big bowl and having all of that fruit. And it might take you a little while to eat it because your body might not be used to having that much volume of fruit. But the more you do it, the easier it'll get. And anyone who's here, I know at least one person here has done the signature reset. They can tell you that it starts being difficult to eat a lot of fruit, but it gets very easy the more that you get used to doing it. Another thing you can do is make your own smoothies if you're not going to use our smoothies. And if you have a good blender like a Vitamix or a Ninja or a NutriBullet, they're all good blenders. You can make a nice 32 or 64 ounce smoothie, and you can drink that through the course of the morning. It could be in a half an hour or over the course of a couple hours of your day. And you can pack that with delicious fruits. And I always put greens in my smoothies. So a typical breakfast I will make Now, I say breakfast. For me, I don't eat till almost lunchtime. That's when I feel hungry. But if you're having breakfast, I'll maybe put 3 or 4 or 5 frozen bananas in my blender with a bunch of parsley and spinach and some dates, and I will blend that, and I'll be happy as a clam drinking something like that. And I gave that recipe a couple times ago, and I think people are loving it because I got a few responses in email about it after the fact. That brought up another point. You don't have to eat if you're not hungry. So there's no rule that because it's 9 o'clock in the morning, oh, I better eat something. Or it's breakfast time, I should eat. If you don't feel hunger pangs, you don't have to eat. When you feel hungry, you eat, and you can eat and with abandon at that point, you know. So I might wake up starving at 7 in the morning. It's rare, but it might happen. So if I do, I eat. If I'm not hungry till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when I eat my first meal, and it might be a really big meal. And I might not be hungry again until 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and that's when I'll eat my next meal. So that's what we call intuitive eating, and it's something that's hard for people that if you struggle with binge eating or you like to snack a lot, like those are hard things to learn. Intuitive eating kind of gets muddled when you snack a lot. So not saying to stop snacking, but if you want to try to rely on intuitive eating to help you lose weight or to feel well, the more you snack in between meals, the harder it is to intuitively eat, because you can't really catch your hunger cues as well or catch your body's cues as well because you've been like basically constantly eating the whole day. So in my life earlier, prior to eating healthy, I snacked a lot. And now do I a little bit? Yeah, like I'll have breakfast if I want some fruit. Like I pretty much snack on fruit or raw vegetables because that doesn't really mess anything up so much. And then I still have really clear hunger cues when I'm ready for dinner or when my body's ready for more calories. Because just remember, like we eat because we love food, and I love food as much as the next person, but food is really meant to be our fuel, right? So just like you properly fuel a vehicle, you have to properly fuel your body if you want to feel the best. So we're taking a little bit of a digression from a balanced meal, but it kind of all makes sense because if you don't balance your day properly, you're never going to feel balanced yourself. So start your day light, start with fruits, light foods. Lunch should ideally be light as well. And I'm saying light as in mostly fat-free. Now, I'm all about healthy fats. I don't negate them even a little. I have them every single day. But it's better to have them later in the day than earlier in the day. So lunch, I always say have your maybe vegetable and bean soups, have hummus and veggies, you can have rice, you can have whole grains like quinoa, oats, oatmeal. You could have more fruits. You could have salads. You could have potatoes, plenty of baked potatoes or sweet potatoes. And there's no limit to how many white potatoes you can have if you just bake them or steam them, contrary to popular belief. If you're the kind of person that loves to have like hard-boiled eggs and things, that's considered a fat and a protein. So you can certainly have that, but just be cognizant of it that once you start including fats and heavier proteins into your diet, you're going to not want to eat fruit again, at least not for a good 3 to 4 hours, or you're going to feel bloated or it'll impede your weight loss if you're trying to lose weight. So you get what I'm trying to say? Light to heavy is the way to go. So you build your day up and have your heavier foods later in the day, which is the opposite of what you've probably heard, because you usually hear eat heavy in the morning and eat light at night. And I have found now, if you haven't been here before, you don't know my story, but I struggled majorly with my weight for years before I found the way I eat now, which is now 20 years ago. But as you're a young girl, usually you can drop weight like this and you work out, and I never could. So it took a lot of years for me to find this. And now I've done it with my clients for many, many years with success. So your heavy meals, and I say heavy, that's when I include fats or animal protein or heavier protein kind of sources like your nuts and things like that. So my dinner might be, usually it's a salad, not always, but usually it's a large salad. And I don't mean like a salad, I mean like a salad. And I'll put 2 avocados in there and a couple baked potatoes and olive oil and my hemp seeds and all my vegetables and stuff. And I will eat all of it. It takes me like an hour to eat it. And I do it usually, sometimes it's a good time of day, like 8 o'clock at night. Sometimes I'm working late, and so I'm eating it 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning because that's when I get around to eating my dinner. Like that's not advocating that, but I'm just saying you can still do that if you eat properly during the day, and you'll still feel good the next morning. Because I still wake up with energy and with a flat tummy and feeling good. So when you eat the proper foods, it doesn't matter the amount of calories or sodium or sugar. If they come from the correct place, it doesn't matter those numbers. That's why I'm saying to counting your protein or counting your calories. Just eat well balanced and get all the different food groups in there. Before I go further, did that cause any questions that you want clarity on? Yes, no? Feel free. So other people probably have the same questions you have. No? Okay. So next question, how much junk is okay to include and how often? So that's like your cheat foods, right? Like how often do you have these cheat foods? Well, I have 2 answers to that. What I tell my clients is, I don't really believe in the whole mentality of cheat foods. Because I feel like once you know what foods really are, you learn that everything you eat can either heal you or hurt you, right? So if you have a great Italian restaurant with this amazing like bread, and you want to have that bread, you can decide that I'm going to have that. It's going to be my soul food for the day, and this is my 80/20, and I'm going to have it. And then you have to have a clear mind about it, and not feel guilt, because if it causes stress to you, you just undid all the good you did the rest of the day, right? So just let it be your soul food and let that just be what you enjoy. However, if you're trying to hit a certain goal, a weight loss goal, a health goal, those are the times when I would say be stricter with yourself until you get to that goal, because maintenance is always easier than getting to the goal. And in that situation, when you have that white bread, I would think, okay, well, am I going to eat this and make my diabetes worse? Am I going to eat this and make my autoimmune disorder worse? Am I going to eat this and put weight on my body? Like, think about, because food has that direct of an effect to how your body reacts to something. So it depends on which stage you're in. If you're in a spot of trying to get to a goal, then you maybe hold yourself more accountable. And if you're in a stage of when you've hit your goal, you're happy where you're at, and you just want to eat healthy and have a well-balanced life, then the 80/20 rule is perfect. Eat well 80 or 90% of the time, and another percent of the time, enjoy ice cream with your kids, or enjoy your mom's like sauce on your pasta, or whatever things you want to have, but do it guilt-free, because, it's very proven that stress causes cortisol to go up in your body. And most people know the cortisol is the fat around your belly. And that can happen from stress. It can happen from over-exercising. It can happen from lots of situations, and especially things that people do that are chronic, like weight loss people that are trying to always drop weight. We do a lot of things that cause cortisol to go up instead of down. And stress is definitely one of them. So stress about guilt eating and that kind of stuff. If you're just going to have it, enjoy it and let it be over. The next day, start fresh with your juice or your fruit, and that's it. Are we good there? Kat, you have anything to add, or are we just kind of like, you can chime in?
I'm capturing what the 80/20 rule is.
Oh,
Just,
thanks.
yeah.
Okay, so now, before I get into kid stuff, anyone else have anything about adult stuff before I open up questions later on? What I just said? Ronald, hey, nice to meet you. You can unmute, ask whatever you want. Oh, you're still muted. There you go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. The question of protein.
Yep.
I always say start with a lot of protein in the morning. What's your take on that?
Well, I personally don't subscribe to that, but it also kind of depends on your lifestyle. So if you are like a bodybuilder, you need a lot of protein. If you're just kind of living your regular life and just want to eat a healthy, balanced diet, then you can get protein. There is protein in every food inherently. There's protein in bananas, there's protein in oats, there's protein in potatoes. There's just not the 60, 70, 80 grams that these people tell you to get at the gym. Like, you have to eat half your body weight in protein, or I don't subscribe to those numbers. I never have. I have no problem whatsoever getting toned or feeling well. And protein is not, contrary to popular belief, does not give us energy. It just helps repair muscle, and it helps oxygen transport in your blood. It's very, very important. I'm not negating it, but it doesn't actually feel like I need protein, I'm tired. You need carbs if you're tired. You need healthy fruit, vegetable carbs, or whole grain carbs when you're tired, and that's what you get the energy from. So that people react to the wrong thing with that. So for breakfast, if your best source of protein for breakfast would probably be something like oatmeal, because if you want, that's like a very low fat, it's easy to digest, you can have it with fruit, and you can still kind of eat fruit during the day if you want to. That would be a great way to maybe do protein in the morning. If you're talking like eggs and meat and stuff like that in the morning, you can eat that, but it depends what your goal is. Is your goal to lose weight, or is your goal just to feel good? Like, I don't know what your personal goals are.
Yeah, it's to lose weight, but I also work out a lot. So my thing is, they give you the 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight.
Yes.
And then some people ascribe, if you're working out, there should be somewhere like 1.4 grams per kilogram of body weight. So I don't know. I think our society is like, we eat a lot of excess protein, but the question is, what's enough?
We do. And that's a very good point. We do eat excess protein, and it ends up doing damage to our bodies, not good, because our liver and your kidneys can only process so much protein, and it doesn't even get utilized anyway. Also, the sources of protein that you choose. So if you're choosing protein, like protein from a green smoothie, for example, the protein in that kale and spinach, your body will use 100% of that protein because it's bioavailable protein. It's raw, it's unprocessed. Your body can use all of it. If you're having a piece of steak, your body will use some of that protein for sure, but a lot of it doesn't get used. It's denatured and heated, and it's not as acceptable, as utilizable, by your body. So I can't give you like a straight number of have this much protein, because like I said, I don't really count numbers. But I would say, a great source of protein is like our smoothies, for example. They're easy to digest. They are nut based, so there's fat in them. I usually tell people not to have them until later in the day, like after 1 o'clock, if you're trying to lose weight. I would say for you to maybe making a big green smoothie on your own, heavy on the bananas and the dark greens, would be a good source of protein. It seems like it wouldn't be, but it actually is what your body needs to repair. And then you get the carbs and the hydration as well after your workout in the morning, and then maybe focus more on protein with your other foods later in the day, whether that be like lentils or eggs or chicken or whatever things you choose to be your protein sources.
Yeah, well, there's an argument that the animal protein is more absorbable than plant proteins, but having a student of biology, like a lot of when they do autopsies, people's small intestines are packed with undigested meat and stuff. So it's like oxymoronic kind of
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna do, because I eat like animal protein, if you're gonna do the animal protein, like Lisa said, save it for the later meals, but also like make sure it's quality protein, like from grass-fed, pastured sources. No, like our smoothie is going to be cleaner than the protein powder or the protein bar that is like loaded with metals, inflammatory oils, sugars, fillers, gums, like all that crap essentially, right? I think quality is important if protein is a concern of yours.
Yeah, I'm pescatarian. I do eat fish, but trying to remember the question I was going to ask you. I lost it.
That's
sorry.
okay, no worries. If you're pescatarian, then wild caught is going to be your best
For sure.
option. If you're doing shrimp, make sure there's no added color because they like to make shrimp look pinker than it is, because when it's farmed, it's gray and it's eating pellets. So there's ways to do it in a healthier way if you feel like you need to.
Yeah.
All good questions, very common questions. And because, we are fed a constant diet, no pun intended, of advertising and media that promotes the opposite of what I'm telling you all, so we're the minority in this, but, what I've personally learned over the years with my clients is that people try the majority way first and it doesn't work long-term for them. So then they seek out alternative or holistic practitioners, which is what I obviously am. And then they try the way that I suggest, and it works. And it works for the long term because it's how our bodies are designed to eat. It's sustainable for the long term. So it might sound wacky, but if you bring everything back I always try to bring everything back to basics. Like, what did we do billion years ago? Like or if we were just put here with our hands, what would be appealing to you? Would you want to try to catch a rabbit and try to eat it? Or would you like look for an orange tree and try to eat oranges? Like, what would be appealing to you with your natural senses of what you had? Like, we're not that animalistic at this point in life, obviously, but I mean, it does help you understand like what your teeth are made to chew and what is appealing to your sense of smell and your sense of taste naturally without altering it. And that is how I've always kind of based what I choose to be the majority. Not everything. I mean, there's room for it to add. I have a steak sometimes. I just don't feel like having one, but like the majority of my diet is what is naturally appealing to me, just as like its natural state. If that helps clear things up a little bit.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to ask. If you're like, for example, for dinner, if you're eating animal product, you make sure, like, for example, if you're eating a steak or a piece of chicken or something, make sure you have like a side dish of greens or something that's fibrous to help.
Sure. Absolutely. I always include greens and like a healthy carb in every meal if I choose to eat that way.
And something I've always said, which you've heard here before, if you've been here before, is to always have something raw with something cooked. So anytime you have a cooked meal, whether it's animal or plant-based, always have something raw on the side, because the raw enzymes help you digest that cooked food. Fiber helps it move through your body better, and it's just better. It's easier for your body to handle those cooked foods, whatever they are. So
I recently just learned that if you have digestive issues, and it's been practiced amongst various cultures, and my family's from Sicily, so incorporating raw bitters before you eat So like an arugula or a radicchio, however you pronounce it. I'm butchering it.
Those kinds of things.
But anything that's raw and like bitter before you eat is also great for like giving you those digestive enzymes to assist you to break down those cooked, harder to digest foods.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very true. I'm going to move on unless there's anything else yet. Okay. Now going towards kids a little bit, but the number one most dangerous ingredient on a label for kids, but also for adults. Anybody want to take a guess before I tell you?
I think I have a guess.
Probably knows already. I feel like we work too closely for you not to know.
Milk.
No, not milk. One of you must have a guess.
Refined carbs.
No, more dangerous than that.
The red dye.
Oh, she's on the right path. Yes, Lori. Yes. Artificial and toxic food dyes are the most dangerous thing you could put in your body. So, there's a lot of things on a label that I would not put into my body or recommend you put into your body, but that's the number one thing that I would never compromise on for my kids or myself. Kat, did you know what it was going to be? She knew.
I knew it was going to be dyes.
So, I don't know if you're aware, but dyes are petroleum based. So petroleum obviously is like gasoline based. So just think, just the basis of what they're based in right there. Number one, like, would you want to put petroleum based dye in your body or your kid's body? But there are so many studies. I mean, I could go on for a whole thing just be about food dye and children, how it affects kids' attention, their attitudes. I mean, most people commonly already know that blue dye is dangerous for children with autism and ADD.
And red.
And red, yes. But what's interesting, and this is kind of circulating right now in social media circles, so you may have seen this recently, especially if you follow the food babe lady. For years I've known this, and maybe you have, maybe you don't, that in Europe they have very different food standards and very different personal hygiene standards than we have here. So for example, like Fruit Loops is what's going around social right now, but the Fruit Loops that they sell in the UK and in Europe are colored with watermelon, beet, blueberry. There's no artificial dyes or toxic dyes because they don't allow them in Europe. And yet the same Kellogg's company that makes those healthier versions makes the dangerous ones to sell to the kids and to all of us here that are both red and blue and yellow lake and all these other kinds of colors that are proven carcinogens and proven to contribute to mental disorders, Alzheimer's,
behavioral issues,
behavioral problems, infertility. I mean, they are linked to so many things that our culture has that other cultures don't have nearly as badly as we do.
They're actually looking to ban them in California. There's like a ton of snacks right now. I posted a link potentially facing ban. So they know that they're causing problems, but we're not there yet.
It's just a mind blower that they physically can make them the other way, and they do produce them the other way, and they choose to keep making ours. I'm sure it's money related, that they continue to making our versions so detrimental, knowing that they're so detrimental. And
the craziest thing to me is that it's not just like the obvious like cereals and stuff. It's also things like pepperoni or olives or like things that you would not think need a dye
have it.
And you're just like, why do my peppers need yellow dye?
Yeah, when you start looking in the back of labels, and I always tell people, it's not worth your time to look at the numbers on the label. Look at underneath that where the little ingredients are listed and super tiny, and that's what counts on a label. Those little ingredients. If you were here last month, I talked about that in detail. Those are where you really see what you're actually eating, and that's where it gets just crazy. So that kind of leads me into the new and exciting things going on in Raw Generation. So do you want me to talk about those things first, or do you want me to open up for questions first? Choice is your guys.
Yeah. What I find fascinating is I have a friend who works with autistic kids, and what they do holistically is they try to move the families more towards organic products and removing giving them natural cleaners and stuff like that, and they some of the kids, they see a marked improvement.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I worked with kids with autism before I started working here, and the way, because they have sensory processing issues with how they eat and whatnot, a lot of them are addicted to carbs and these snacks. And we notice as educators that whenever these children were having the red dyes, their behavior was exacerbated very negatively. So anytime we had like Valentine's Day parties and stuff, we literally had to hold off like giving them anything till the very end of the day, because otherwise it would be complete chaos and mayhem. And it's not just autistic kids, it's also children who are, you know, your typical, I'll use the proper term, typical 2-year-olds that also react that way as well. So it's affecting everyone.
Totally. Um, if I have no vote, I'm going to continue with what's new and exciting at Raw-Gen, and then the floor is yours. So think about the questions that you have. So I decided to talk about balanced meals, family nutrition. I did have a question I was going to answer about getting your kids and partners to eat healthy. And if you wanted that, we could also cover that. I forgot about that one. Because if you were here last month, then you got a little sneak peek of our newest product coming out in just next week, actually. If you weren't here, you don't know. We are launching our first line of kids drinks. They're called sippers. They're little rainbow sippers. And actually, do you want to pop a cup? Can you picture maybe one of the pictures and pop it in?
Sure.
Maybe the one of all the colors with the fruits. You know what I mean with the rainbow. If you can find it. They are the colors of the rainbow, like I said. So one for every day of 7 days of the week. And if your child drinks just one a day, so one a day for the week, they'll have had 40 fruits and vegetables by the end of the week, just with these one little 4-ounce bottles. So I made these. I was inspired just because of my own nieces and nephews that I have all the time with me. And they actually love healthy food. I've always given them healthy food when they've been with me. But they're picky like any other kids. So I tested it with them first, then I tested it with a group of 30 other children to see how they liked the taste. And I even did some tweaks based upon their feedback. But there are things in these juices like that most kids won't touch, like broccoli, escarole, red bell pepper, purple sweet potato, all kinds of funky things. But they all taste 100% kid friendly. So there's, strawberry flavored apple, orange, watermelon. They taste like children friendly, but they're packed with really great nutrition for kids. And so that's coming just next week. And I'm so excited for them. Were you able to find a cat or no?
I'm on the hunt in the drive.
On the hunt, okay. No big deal. You can't. I might have it someplace if not. So that's the most exciting thing coming out, and that's coming just next week, like I said, the kid sippers. We also have a project I'm working on that I'm thinking should be done by hopefully July-ish, called the protein method. To answer some protein questions there. So as most of you know, we have the skinny method that comes after our skinny cleanse. Helps you keep weight off after you cleanse. And I just felt like the protein method, the protein cleanse people didn't really have something for them that was higher in protein that they wanted in a system that makes sense to also lose weight. Like I was telling you about how to eat light to heavy and incorporate protein also. So this protein method is going to be that program that's going to be, you can do it after a protein cleanse. You can just do it as a program by itself. It's a weekly program. And so I'm working right now on recipes for that and some assets and things. The flavors are done, including a little protein boost. That's like a little 10-gram boost of protein whenever you want to take it during the day. It's peanut butter and jelly flavored. It's very tasty. So that's actually, we're producing that on Monday for the first time. So that is coming. And what else? Oh, just made last week or 2 weeks ago, we just made a brand new sleep shot. So a shot to help you sleep, and it's full of natural magnesium from cashews, has tart cherry juice, which is proven to help us sleep. It has the addition of kava root, which is a holistic root that helps your body calm down and rest. And it has some melatonin in it. And it tastes like vanilla and cherry vanilla. It's very tasty. If you've had our vanilla cashew, it's kind of similar to that with some cherry added to it. And it's a little 4-ounce shot you can take before bed to help you get good sleep. That's
and it definitely works because we've had a few colleagues fall asleep after having it. So make sure you have it before bed.
It does work, yeah.
And yeah, I can testify in my own personal wellness arsenal at home that tart cherry juice is amazing for deep REM sleep and having dreams. So if that's something that intrigues you, it's definitely interesting and it works. So
That's exciting. What else, Kat? Oh, I mean, I don't know if anyone here is in this phase of life, but we do have a brand new bridal reset coming out too, for the bride to be, and for bachelor parties. It's a kind of whole thing focused around weddings and brides and getting brides healthy before their big day. If any of you is a bride to be and you want to talk about that more, let me know. I don't know if anyone in this room is though. And those are the immediate projects. Then we have some bigger things coming. I'm working on potentially some recipes using some of our juice pulp into making them into chips. That's a bigger project though. And I just worked on some cold brew coffee recipes with our smoothies, like to make like a nice iced cappuccino with some organic cold brew and our vanilla smoothies and yummy stuff like that. So that's just fun stuff coming probably more like in the fall. So did I forget anything, Kat?
I think you've got it all.
Yeah.
We're doing some other research.
Busy summer coming.
Yeah. I'm still looking for this, by the way.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. They'll see you in a couple days in their email. Okay, so guys, the floor is yours if there's other questions. I know some people always have to leave at 1:30 when their other meetings take on. That happens kind of every time. But who's left? If you have questions, you have the floor to yourself if you want.
Okay, here I am again.
That's it. You're here.
We appreciate the questions. So
Yeah, intestinal issues, dysbiosis, what do you recommend as far as, they talk about fiber and the juices they're not really fiber rich, right?
No, juices have fiber removed. The smoothies have fiber in them. That's if your gut is out of whack, that's all the more reason to take into consideration the way I was speaking before about eating light to heavy and majorly increasing your fruit and vegetable intake. That will naturally fix itself.
yeah,
I cannot strongly enough recommend making your own smoothies and making them large and full of fruits and vegetables. That will be a game changer for you, for sure.
When you talk about eating fruit in the morning, now some people talk about monofruiting, like
Monomeal?
have 5 oranges or just have 4 bananas and don't mix the fruit together, or does it matter?
I'll tell you what, like I've eaten an almost all raw diet for 20 years. So my body naturally inclined to eating mono meals. So like if I eat mangoes, I want to have like 5 or 6 or 7 of them. I don't want anything else. That's my body how it's become. And I did that like for lunch yesterday. If you would rather just have a variety of fruits, the fiber is fiber and the water is water. You can have whatever you'd like, but for optimal digestion, if digestion's your problem, then yeah, the simpler you eat, the better. Just, the less complicated the combinations, the better.
Is there an issue mixing like starchier fruit with, for example, bananas with berries or?
Some people say that's an issue. I personally have never found that to be a problem, and I have a pretty picky gut, so I feel like you probably will be fine as long as we want to make sure that everything is ripe. So bananas, especially, people tend to eat them underripe. I say this almost every meeting because it comes up it's one way or another. But
she yells at me when she sees my green bananas.
Yeah. Well, some people eat them because they say that when they're underripe, it's less
sugar. Yeah,
less glycemic.
Anybody tells you there's no reason to ever eat a green banana. There's nothing healthy about it. It's like a piece of white bread in your body, how it digests it chemically as starch. Once it gets brown speckled, it chemically converts to a sugar, which is how our body's meant to process it. It becomes laxative instead of constipating. You can easily eat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them at a time if you wanted and not have any kind of issues at all. They're actually the most healing food for your gut when they're eaten ripe. When they're eaten underripe, I would never touch them. So even if you have like a yellow banana and there's some green on the stem, that's still underripe. So you want fully yellow with some brown speckling. It doesn't have to be like brown splotched or anything, but brown speckling means it's converting to sugar. That's when you should eat them. Otherwise, I would not. So, and if you're going to freeze them, wait till they get to that point before you peel and freeze them as well. They won't ripen once you put them in the fridge or once you freeze them. And it goes with any fruit. Any fruit, but it's best to leave most fruit at room temperature. Certain things like berries and grapes you probably want to refrigerate because they go bad so quickly. But most fruit, I have like fruit baskets all over my house. I have mangoes in one and oranges in one and avocados in one and whatever else, my melons on the counter because fruit ripens naturally at room temperature and our body processes it the best when it's not ice cold. never a great idea to have really cold drinks or really cold food if you have digestive issues. It makes your digestion slower to have something super hot or super cold. Room temperature or tepid is the best temperature for digesting food.
I was gonna ask Lisa, and maybe for you as well, Ronald. Would you suggest starting your day with like a warm cup of lemon water, not too hot, not too cold?
Yeah, that's a great way to start your day. That helps flush your system, get things going.
Yeah, it's good for your liver too.
Very detoxifying. Yeah, it's a great way to start your day. Or
Yeah.
no tea, even with lemon added to it, it's fine. Like a chamomile tea with lemon or peppermint tea, a little honey or something. It's a good thing to have something like that in the morning.
Yeah, and then like after like 10, 15 minutes, like have your juice and your fruit and
Yeah.
start the day.
Always a good idea to start your day off with something green too after you have that something warm, like a green juice or a green smoothie. That chlorophyll in those greens, I mean, that's the best detoxifier you could have. You know, chlorophyll's unmatched.
Another thing too, and this is what helped my I had very bad, like almost leaky gut type symptoms. Celery juice was my saving grace for like I did it strictly for 4 years, 3.5 years. And I can't say enough good things about it, from like the energy to clearer skin. I had really bad acne. That doesn't look like it's a problem for you. But my stomach was really, I mean, when I tell you I was in fetal position from the stomach cramping that I would get, it was really bad. And celery juice really was amazing for me during that time. So I would recommend, if you're dealing with stomach issues, that's a great drink. And we offer it. We have our morning celery and apple celery, right, Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when I used to drink a mix of celery, carrot, and beet juice.
Okay.
You know, for a while. You know, but no, I noticed my issue started after I had I got sick like 8 months ago, and I got put on steroids for 3 weeks.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, and so it's heavy duty antibiotic. You know, so I figured that shifted. Took me like a few months. I realized it might have shifted my gut microbiome.
Yes.
Yeah, your
You know,
gut took a hit for sure. I was on antibiotics for every other month, so I'm sure our stories are similar.
you know.
Do you
All right,
take probiotics now?
give it a whirl. Yeah.
Do you take a probiotic now?
I take a seed probiotic. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with that brand.
I'm not. No. Are you cat?
No, I'm actually not. Is it what's it made from?
It's a double encapsulated, so it has some enzymes and has some specific probiotics.
Okay. It's green
Yeah.
packaging?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah, and I also take I think Florastorm.
Okay. This
You know,
brand looks really clean. The fact that they test for glyphosate is really good for your gut, especially because there's been studies that glyphosate leaves holes in the intestine of worms. I know we're not worms, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of our produce and wheat and seeds is sprayed. I think it's wheat, seeds, nuts is
Yeah.
sprayed with that. So that's
And also it's also used to dry oats and wheat. You know,
yeah.
and it was originally patented as an antibiotic, so it damages your gut bacteria on top of everything. But
Yeah.
Interesting. So you seem to know your stuff.
yeah, it's a little, no, because yeah, because my cousin does work with autistic kids, and that seems to be one of their culprits besides the
Oh, yeah.
diet and everything. Yeah,
Autism and gut health issues are like BFFs. Usually kids with autism do have some degree of gut health problem.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's exhausting. I did.
What happened?
I'm just thinking like how this wouldn't even exist.
Oh, this stuff drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like our food system and the chemicals that are allowed, and I could go on a tangent for days.
Yeah, it is
And like,
glyphosate in the rain too.
oh
That's
yeah,
how much
and
you
you know,
use, yeah.
when
Yeah.
you suffer and you're actually in pain,
Yeah.
you realize like, wow, everything is like working against me. And like, you don't want to be stressed, right? But at the same time, you need to be informed so you can control what you can, which is your diet essentially. And I think a lot of us start here.
For sure. Usually starts from a pain point.
Yeah.
And you learn, and the more you learn, the more you know, and the more you wish you didn't know, because then it's like, now what do I do?
And then you're like, ignorance is bliss. Sometimes.
I always say that now.
I see people at the drive-through. I'm like, I wish I could just go to the McDonald's drive-through with a clear conscience, but I can't.
Well, you know, it's difficult to talk to people about it. You know, I mean, I don't try to push any particular type of nutrition, but I know that you know, plants are missing in most people's diets. You know, but yeah, most people don't want to hear it. So
Yeah.
kind of have to approach them with you know, gingerly. You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, most people don't know because all they've ever felt is the way they feel. And you don't realize when you stop eating these foods how bad you actually were feeling, like those migraines all the time and the joint pain and the fatigue. I mean, it isn't until you're really down and not feeling well that you're like, something's got to give, you know? And you try like the Western medicine, you go to the doctor, you get the tests, you do all the things, and you're kind of left, at least for me, it was that way. You're left like in the dark. And you're like, I have to take things into my own hands now.
Yeah, I had GERD really bad, and you know, reflux. You know, and I used to live on my Lanta.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
on Nexium, did nothing. I was like, it was crazy town. It started for me as that as well. So, and it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I have a ton of clients that started with gastroesophageal reflux and had like
Heartburn, like
Yeah.
we think heartburn is normal. This is not normal.
Mm-mm.
Should not be baby barfing, not to be gross after you eat. And burping up and having indigestion and all the things.
Guys, we have like 10-ish minutes left. If you still have other stuff, do you want to talk about anyone else in the room, or are we just smaller today? No. Okay.
I'd just like to say thank you. This has been really, really informative, helpful, and I know it's being recorded, so it'll be great to be able to listen back again. And it's nice to meet face to face.
Thanks, you too. All the past ones have been recorded. So if one of the topics interests you from a past one that maybe before you were a member couldn't see, there's been all kinds of things we've covered, and they're all recorded and available.
Our last one I definitely suggest watching because it talks about like the 10 most crazy food additives as far as natural flavors, and you will be flabbergasted.
Like
Okay.
the natural flavors.
Yeah, it's concerning.
And where do I find them?
That is a great question. I mean, is this your first month as a Juice Club member, or have you been a member prior?
Yeah, I guess it's my first webinar. So
But you know what you can do then, because you don't actually have that in your old email. If you want to send me an email to the email that you have, I can get the link for you and send it to you.
okay.
I'm not
All
sure where their house. I have to find out from customer service. I don't know where they house them, but I can get the link for you and get it to you.
Thank you. Thanks.
And if not, we'll always do like another one because that was a popular one.
Okay, super.
Yeah, the environmental working group has their, you know, what they call the Dirty 15 or whatever.
Yeah, Clean
No.
15. Wait, is it Dirty Dozen Clean 15?
Yeah. Then you have the cornucopia.org if you want to know which animal products are.
Oh,
the
that's
cleanest.
great.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're considered a terrorist group by the meat industry.
Of course they are. Why
Why?
wouldn't they be?
We're the regeneration terrorist group right here. Me and Kat.
I know, for real. I will only buy my meat at a small farm. I go to regenerative farms only. Like they make fun of me here because they're like, all your pay goes to farms, and I'm like, it is what it is.
I know it's funny.
Yeah, she doesn't, but our other peeps.
Now I have backup. It used to just be me here, and then when she came, I was like, oh, I have someone else on my side of the team.
Another thing, a great entry level app for not food but products is Think Dirty. I don't know if they got bought out. The Yuka app cannot really be trusted. But when I was first on my healing journey and unaware of like what ingredients to watch out for as far as like, beauty and hygiene, Think Dirty was a saving grace for me because it actually explained why the product is the way it is. And the EWG is also great for that too. So
Good to know. Mhm.
does anyone have any other questions? We don't bite. I say it every time.
Thank you.
It's my joke.
Let's just put that there. Okay, the app is there, you guys.
Yeah.
If you want to try it.
I have a question, or if this could be something. Have you guys ever put together like a cliff notes of all the stuff, like no fruit and fat together, something raw at every meal, like just kind of a cliff notes of your tips, Lisa?
So I have a ton of blogs written. If you go on our site and you're like curious of like, what to eat after a cleanse, whatever, like you can type those keywords into the search and there's a ton of blogs on like all of Lisa's teachings. And we definitely could maybe put together something for you too.
Actually, like that's kind of what we're going to be doing. So the skinny method, which already exists, I don't know if you ever did that after the reset, but we are going to be making that like an actual standalone program as well, like the protein method's going to be. And we're making like kind of like a larger book that's going to have like actually printed recipes and like some of the guides that you had for the reset, like the healthy swaps and the eating out, they're going to be part of this booklet as well as my tips. So like a lot of those things are going to be housed in one like actual tangible booklet that people will be able to have. So basically those will all be in that place. It doesn't exist yet per se, just in the videos right now, pretty much. But yeah, they will all be in that. Most of them will be in that place anyway, the weight loss tips. Yeah.
And here is the link for our blogs in the meantime.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a ton of stuff on there. And I'm not sure if you're on social media, Kimberly. I remember somebody saying that they don't use socials. But our Instagram has a couple of clips of Lisa talking about how to read ingredient labels and things like that. So always keep an eye on there if you are on there.
Do you know, Kat, because I have not been on social recently, if we ever actually made those highlights of the different things now, like were the topical highlights that we were going to do back when? Have you been on there recently to see?
Mm-mm.
I have to go back and check. We were going to do that at one point when I was on social all the time, but then they made me stop doing social because I had too much other stuff I had to do all the time.
I don't know anything about like highlights and organization. I don't think it has been mentioned, but I mean, we could definitely discuss it.
At the time, I wanted to have the highlights of our page, like these topic specific, like weight loss highlights, protein highlights. That way people could just find little clips about those things at the drop of a,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if it ever came through to happening after I got off social, but anyway, I think we just about done, you guys. As always, you can always email me if you have questions before the next month's webinar. If you have topics you'd like covered, ideas, I love having new ideas. I come up with them on my own pretty much each time. But if you have ideas or things that you want to hear about, I consider doing a whole bunch about GMOs because that's always people don't know a lot about GMOs and that kind of thing, but maybe it doesn't interest you, maybe it does, I don't know. Let me know what interests you. And if you give me feedback, I will work on it for next month.
And no topic is controversial here.
Also,
We don't, if you can't tell, we don't stick to the politically correct things that we're told by mainstream. So we will touch up on
anything you have a question about?
tons of subjects.
I mean, we had like a whole discussion about raw milk a couple months ago, and that was like
Yeah.
taboo, but we did it. So,
Yeah. So,
all right, you guys, thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll see you next month.
yep. It was a pleasure,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a
Bye.
great rest of the
Bye.
day.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.